Hello and welcome to episode 75 of Stitched in Sweden. I'm Maria and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Stitched in Sweden. Today I thought I would give you a bit of an update on what I've been working on and a couple of projects that I have planned in the near future. It's been a few more house projects this week. We got our curtains up. You can see one of them here. And things are starting to feel a lot more put together, which is really nice. We still have a couple of more curtains and things to put up, but feels like things are coming together, so that's really nice. I have finished one sweater this week, which is my swag. Last time I showed you this, I was still working on the sleeves, and now it is all finished. So I will show you what it looks like. So here it is all finished, and this is knit out of two different yarns. The main body color is Blush from the Wool Barn, and it's a nice speckly yarn with some pinks and greens and different colors in there mixed in. And the yoke here is from Fru Valborg, who's a Swedish hand dyer, and this was one of the colors that was part of a fade kit that she sent me. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. I modified the pattern. I wouldn't even say that it's modifying the pattern really. I just decided that I wanted to have the tubular cast on for the, I have a tubular, I can't remember. I knit it top down, so yeah. It was a tubular cast on for the neckline, and then tubular bind off at the waist and on the sleeves. And I alternated every other row throughout the body because I was knitting with hand dyed yarn, and that's usually a good idea. I had a slightly tighter gauge than the pattern calls for, so that means that I was getting more stitches per inch or centimeter than in the pattern. So what I did to kind of compensate for that, rather than recalculating all of the numbers for the pattern, was that I measured my gauge and determined that with my gauge, if I knit the size medium, I would achieve the measurements of the size small or extra small. I think the smallest size. I wanted it to be pretty fitted because in general I like things to be more fitted, and to give you a reference point, my bust is around 34 inches. So yeah, here it is all finished, and I think this will be a really nice sweater to wear this fall and into the winter. So here you have it. And the other project that I have been working on this week, which is really close to being finished, is my Skiff Hat. And I don't think I had started this last time. I decided to knit the Skiff pattern, which is from Brooklyn Tweed, and I think it's written by Jared Flood. And this pattern calls for their worsted weight shelter yarn, which I think is a bit thinner than this yarn which I used, which is Woolfolk Luft. And this is a really fluffy yarn, which has all my hair in it. But it has a kind of net structure with this like fuzz basically blown into it. It was a little bit tricky to knit with just because the yarn is so fuzzy, so my needles were getting kind of stuck on it a little bit. but in the end, I think it's gonna be really nice. I did the tubular cast on as suggested in the pattern, so you can still see my provisional cast on is still in there, so I haven't taken that out yet. But I knew that I wasn't going to have enough yarn to knit the big, thick, or long brim on the hat, which is kind of more of the style that I wanted rather than a tight beanie. So I decided to knit the ribbed cuff just a little bit longer, but I won't fold it up. And I'm really close. I need to just get my darning needle so I can go through all of these stitches and put a pom-pom on it. But this one is super soft, and I'll just put it on. It's gonna be a little bit different because this tighter edge won't be here from the cast on. Yeah, there it is. And I don't really like wearing hats, but I think I might just be able to wear this one. This hat I knit, now it's on a crazy long cable because I've been doing the crown decreases, but I knit the hat on a 16-inch cable with these 4-inch Haya sharp tips, and I used US size 7, which is a 4.5mm needle for the main body of the hat, and I used a smaller size for the ribbing. Can we also just, like, this hat looks huge, but it actually fits on my head, which is kind of scary. Whatever works. But this is the first time that I have comfortably knit a hat on 16-inch circular needles, and that's really due to these short-tipped needles. And I've tried I think it's Chaogu makes a hat needle, 16-inch needle anyway, and the way that their needles are is like there's a straight part of the needle and then a bend near the join of the needle, which is supposed to help like curve the needles so that they are in a more natural rounded shape for knitting at a small circumference like in a hat. But I found them so incredibly uncomfortable to knit with that I really have been turned off from knitting hats, mostly because I don't enjoy wearing hats. But I mean, other people like wearing hats, so I could knit hats for other people. But the thing is that it was just always so difficult to knit the hats comfortably that I didn't enjoy it because I always ended up doing them on magic loop. And then, I don't know, for hats and magic loop, it's like you need a pretty long cable to do that, to make it work. And then it seems like it makes what should be a pretty quick project turn into a pretty long project. So I just don't knit that many hats. But I think now that I have this short needle solution with a 16-inch cable, then I could definitely see myself making some more hats in the future. I have some other products that I recently got from Haya. I was in contact with their wholesalers, the Europe wholesalers. So I will be sharing in kind of some upcoming episodes just a couple of things that I picked up from them and talking about how I like them. I picked them all out. I use Hayas all the time. That is my preferred needle, 100%. I have tried Chaogu's and Knit Pros and Knit Picks, same as Knit Pro. I've tried Addy needles and some different bamboo ones from a long time ago, but Hayas are always my favorites. I prefer the sharp tips, and I sometimes use the bamboo tips as well, which are quite nice. Another thing that I have here is a little connector thing, which is just this tiny little screw that enables you to connect the interchangeable cords together. So you could get a really long cord. It's really nice if you want to switch lengths of cords. So in this case I was going from the 16-inch to a longer cord so that I could do the magic loop. Rather than, yeah, I could basically just pull out one side that the needle was on, unscrew this, attach a new cord, and slide that through directly. But hopefully that makes sense. Rather than like putting each stitch over one by one onto a new length cord with new needle attached. So yes, I have a couple other things that I'll be trying out from them, like I said, and I'll just be sharing those with you as I use them. But so far it is a big thumbs up on the 4-inch needles combined with the 16-inch cables for hat knitting. But I'm also planning on starting a knitting project, which will be a pair of socks for my mom. I usually make her a pair of Christmas socks every year, Christmas/birthday. This is a really beautiful skein of yarn from Cosmic Strings, and this is their sock blend base. It's a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's hand dyed in Edinburgh. And this is some lovely yarn that my friend brought back for me last year when she went to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. And I think this would be really nice as a pair of socks. I was originally thinking of maybe doing a little bit of a lacy pair of socks. It's a little more purple, I would say, in real life. It's showing up a bit more red here on the screen. I know that my mom really likes a pair of cabled socks that I made her. So I haven't quite decided which pattern I'm going to use. I may end up using the Cyril socks pattern from Danny of Little Bobbins, but I have not yet decided, so we'll have to wait and see. It's been a few days since the first part of this recording, which I finished up quickly because Thomas came home and we were going to have dinner together. But I just wanted to continue the episode and talk to you about a couple of projects that I have upcoming and give you an update actually on the projects that I talked about in the first half of the episode. So let's get started. The first update is my Skiff Hat. It is all finished. I haven't blocked it. I don't think I'm going to necessarily. I've been kind of toying with the idea of putting in some kind of elastic band inside the ribbing because I'm worried that it might stretch out a little bit, and that's also part of the reason why I haven't blocked it, because I'm afraid that if I do, it will stretch out more than I want it to. So yeah, but here it is, all finished. This is Skiff, which is a pattern by Jared Flood, and I knit it in Wool Folk Luft and did a tubular cast on, and I added this pom-pom onto the top of it. So I'll just give you a little preview of it on. I think this is probably how I'll wear it. I'm not really sure how this bang situation is, but I think there's a chance that I'll wear it anyway, which would be good because I never wear hats, even though it's often quite cold in the winter and I need a hat. So happy to have this done. It's super soft, and this is a nice memory for me because I bought this yarn when I was in Amsterdam visiting my good friend who lives there, and I bought it from the Stephen and Penelope shop when I visited. So that is definitely a good project to have off the needles just in time for the cooler weather that's coming now. The other project I have an update on is my sock for my mom. I decided to go with the Cereal sock, which is a pattern by Danny of Little Bobbins. And I have this in my sheep, which is from a Spanish Etsy shop. And I put little pads on its feet because they were kind of scratchy. I was worried about it scratching my table. Actually, it did scratch it a little bit. This is my yarn bowl. I don't have any other yarn bowls. This is my first one, but I really like it so far. And I saw this on the Hey Sister podcast and I just had to get one. So in here is my sock for my mom. And you can see that I have made a bit of progress on it from the last time. This is in Cosmic Strings. The color is called Hunter, and it's the Cereal socks, as I mentioned. So it just has a really simple cable texture. And yeah, it's kind of like a ribbed sock. I'm knitting these on one of the Hiya needles that I bought. I mentioned earlier that I purchased a few things from the Hiya Europe wholesaler, and basically I told them that I love using Hiya and that it's my favorite needle to use, and that I talk about them sometimes on the podcast. So he offered that I could purchase some things wholesale if I wanted to try out a couple new things so that I could talk about them and share them here. So that's what I did. And this particular needle is the interchangeable US 0 2mm needle. So previously when I bought my interchangeable set from Hiya, they didn't have I think they didn't have any interchangeable size lower than 2.75, I want to say. So a US 2. And now apparently they have even smaller needles. So you can get a 0, which is a 2mm, 1, which is 2.25, and a 1.5, I believe, which is a 2.5mm. And these use a different cable than the other small needles. That's what it looks like when it's undone, and one side when it's undone and one side when it's done up. You just twist right on there just like other interchangeable needles, and I really like them. I haven't had a really good set of sock needles. I have been using some Hiya ones that I had before, but they were the Hiya regular tips, and these are the Hiya sharps, which are my preferred needles. So yeah, you do have to get, as I say, you have to get this miniature cord, I think it's called, for these 3 smaller sizes, but to me, I still really like having the interchangeable sets so I can store all my tips in one place and then all my cords in another place. Or yeah, my plan is to make a new needle case so that they're all stored nicely in the same place, but that hasn't happened yet. So speaking of things to make, the other day I sat down and looked at the calendar and realized that there are 12 weeks left until I leave for Colorado for Christmas, and that was a week ago, so now there's 11. So I sat down and made a list of some of the projects that I want to finish before then. Some of them are Christmas projects, some of them are just things that I've been wanting to make. And I thought, for me, sometimes what I like to do is to make a list like this so that when I'm feeling uninspired or just not really sure what I want to work on, I can look at that and think, and kind of use it as a starting point for getting some inspiration. This is kind of a similar idea to the Make 9. It's not really a similar idea at all, but for me it serves the same purpose as like setting up the Make 9 for the year goals at the beginning of the year and that kind of thing, which maybe it's time to look back at some of those. They always change for me, but I think that I actually have done a few this year on my Make 9 list, so that would be fun to check out. So some of the projects that I listed to finish before, I've already checked off, so that was nice. The idea is also that I can make this list and kind of indicate for myself how long I think it might take. So then I have a feeling of whether or not this is a project that I could do on a weeknight, evening, or if it requires a whole weekend, or if it will be something like socks, which will be kind of working in the background for 3 weeks. So yeah. The goal is also so that maybe if I have everything written down like this, if I come home on a weekday evening and I kind of want to make something but I don't want to get everything out and I don't know where to start, and then I maybe have already kind of decided on a project which I could complete easily in one night, or at least get a good piece of it done. So yeah, a couple things I already have finished. One was the Skiff Hat, which I just showed you. Another is I made 2 throw blankets. One of them is back on the couch back there. I might give one of them to my sister. We'll see if she wants it. But this was basically the simplest project, but then also still really satisfying to make. I'm just gonna fold it up a little so. See? Here it is though. It's a nice kind of waffly fabric. So I bought a piece of fabric that was 130 centimeters wide, and I bought 3.5 meters of the fabric because I thought that I would probably want to make it double wide. So I was going to sew down the middle of the fabric. In the end, I decided that, so the reason I wasn't sure is because this fabric shrinks a lot when you wash it, which is what gives it this waffly texture, because before it's all stretched out like that, kind of, if you can get an idea. In the end, I decided that it was big enough with just the single width, so now I have 2 blankets. And all I did was to sew 2 lines down the side next to the seam. So the edge will fray, the selvage edge is also frayed. The edge that I cut will fray as well. But it's basically just a really simple throw blanket and nice cozy thing to have on the couch. So when I was at Stuff and Steel sometime during the week I also picked up some fabric that was on sale. And that is this pineapple fabric. It's 100% viscose, and I have 2 pieces of it because it was in the remnants pile. It was 2 kind of random size cuts of it, but I decided that I would get it and make a hopefully wearable muslin version of my Caroline pajamas, which is the pattern I think I showed last time from Closet Case, and I've been wanting to make those for a while. I don't have enough fabric to make the Rifle Paper Co. version long, like long sleeved and long legs, so I hope that I will actually be able to squeeze out at least I definitely will be able to make the long pants out of this fabric, if not also hopefully the long sleeve shirt. So we'll see. But that is one of the things on my list before I leave as well. I'll just run through some of them. I'm planning on making a backpack for my sister for Christmas, and backpack for Thomas, and perhaps a tote for me. I guess that one could be pushed till later as well. I would like to sew up some linen pillowcases. That's one of the projects that I've identified as something I could probably do in an hour or two, so that would be a good after work project. I would like to make a new needle case. I'm planning on knitting the Divide sweater by Emily Green that I mentioned last time in the Brooklyn Tweed Arbor in the Degas color. And I want to finish my Tencel sweater that I showed you last time, which is that gray lace boxy kind of oversized pullover. Finally, I want to make a Kelly anorak in a kind of similar color to this stretch twill that I have, and I think that will be a really nice spring jacket alternative to my trench coat that I have currently. So it's a bit optimistic, but I have already checked off a few things, and I started the socks, so those are working in the background. So we'll see what gets done, and it's not like a hard deadline, but maybe some of them are like the backpacks, but yeah, it's just to kind of give myself some motivation mostly. Last but certainly not least, I wanted to talk to you about something that is coming up, which I think is going to be a really cool tool for the knitting community, which is called the Making Things app. I will definitely talk to you again about it when it comes out, but yeah, the Making Things app, if you haven't heard, is going to work kind of like a Netflix subscription or any subscription service that you might subscribe to. And basically what it is a pattern platform which has a lot of tools built into it. So yeah, I can tell you about those at some point too. But the idea is that you pay a monthly subscription fee, and then you have access to all of these beautiful patterns. And I was lucky enough to be one of the beta testers for the app, and my designs are included in the app now. And I think it's launching on, I want to say October 30th, so that's pretty exciting. And I think it's going to be a really big tool now in the knitting community. Basically, you have unlimited access to the whole pattern library that they have, and they're always building it and inviting new designers, and people can, I think you can submit your designs as well. And with this monthly subscription fee, you have all this access to these patterns. And the nice thing also is that when you're viewing the patterns, there's all these different ways to help you keep track of where you are in your pattern. So you can have a little highlighter tape that you can move along on your pattern. There's row counters, different tutorials also are set up in the app to help you with, you know, tubular cast on technique or something like that. So it's really kind of a one-stop shop for knitting support and patterns. So it will be really interesting, I think, to see kind of how this develops and grows in the coming months and years, possibly. But I will let you know more about it when it comes out. I think because I'm one of the like launching designers, I will have a special link that if you want to sign up through my link, then I will get a commission fee for this. But of course you can sign up however you want. I just am only promoting it because I found it really fun to use, and I think it's going to be a good tool for us all in the future. So just wanted to give you a little heads up on that, especially in case I don't get back before October 30th, but I'll do my best. We'll see how it goes. Otherwise, I think that's all for today. I hope you are all doing well and enjoying the beginnings of fall or spring, wherever you are. And until next time, happy knitting, happy sewing, bye!